Hey guys, welcome back. The one-liner of the story is, what happens when a quiet and intelligent biology student must take a trip with a group for her PhD research? It is an interesting story. Let's get into it. But before that, please like, subscribe, thank. The story begins in Ireland, where we meet Siobhan, a biology student. She's highly skilled, but prefers to stay alone, avoiding social gatherings. While her classmates are celebrating a birthday in the lab, Siobhan stays focused on her work, uninterested in joining the party. Her professor soon reminds her that to complete her PhD she must join a sea expedition on a fishing boat. Her task is to observe and record any unusual sea life or fish behavior during. Siobhan doesn't want to go because she's not good at socializing. Sets off on the trip. A friendly crew member who welcomes her aboard the fishing boat. Besides Johnny, there were 5 others on the Freya, the captain, her husband Gerard, the engineer, Olma, an old woman named Ciara, and Sooty. At first, the crew liked Siobhan, but when she removed her hat, they were shocked to see her red hair. In Ireland, red-haired women were believed to bring bad luck at sea. Siobhan didn't know about this superstition, and backing out wasn't an option since the university had already paid for her trip. Soon they set sail into the Atlantic Ocean. Johnny showed her the sleeping area, and Gerard, being religious, prayed before the trip, still mourning their late daughter. Johnny then took Siobhan to the engine room where she met Omi. She was impressed by his skills after seeing a water filtering system he had built himself. Siobhan asked why he didn't work somewhere better, as he was clearly talented. Omi admitted he wanted to, but his wife was pregnant, and he urgently needed money. Sadly, Gerard hadn't paid him yet, though he promised that everyone would get their payment once they returned to port. Later, Siobhan sat in a quiet spot on the boat to continue her research. Meanwhile, Freya and Gerard received an email warning them they were approaching an exclusion zone, a restricted area meant to protect whales. Still, they had no choice but to sail along its edge. That night, Siobhan didn't join the others for dinner. One evening, while she was studying on the deck, Freya noticed her and pointed out the glowing bioluminescent phytoplankton in the water. Siobhan admired it from a scientific view, but Freya shared an old legend about a woman who gave herself to the sea and became immortal, and that the glowing lights were said to be her hair still drifting beneath the waves. The next day, they saw several whales, which surprised Siobhan, since whales usually avoid noisy fishing areas. Soon after, Gerard spotted something huge on the radar, and suddenly the boat hit something underwater and got stuck. Everyone panicked. The radio broke, though Omi found the engine working fine. However, the lower deck showed signs of decay, leaking a strange bluish liquid. Omi called Chauvin, who took samples for analysis. When Gerard checked, he saw a living organism attached to the hull. Siobhan guessed it was a new barnacle species. As Siobhan was the only one with a diving suit, Gerard asked her to go underwater and see what trapped the boat. She agreed it was a chance to study an unknown anomaly beneath the surface. She witnessed a bioluminescent creature with huge glowing tentacles wrapped around the boat. One tentacle lunged toward her, and she barely escaped, shocked. She couldn't explain it. No known sea animal matched what she saw. Gerard and the others thought it might be a giant squid, hoping to capture it. They released nets, but the boat came under pressure, forcing them to pull the nets back. While pulling the net back, Johnny injured his hand. When Siobhan later picked up his wallet, she noticed it was covered in both blood and the creature's slime. The crew was now completely stranded, with no radio contact for help. After some time they spotted another fishing boat in the distance, hoping for assistance. Gerard suggested they visit it, thinking the other crew might have better equipment, and that together they could capture the giant creature for profit. Only Johnny and Siobhan agreed to join Gerard, while the others stayed behind, too afraid to go. When they boarded the second boat, they found it abandoned, but below deck they discovered the lifeless bodies of the entire crew, their eyes missing. Terrified, they couldn't understand what had happened. Gerard assumed it was due to sea fever, some kind of illness. He told Siobhan and Johnny not to mention this to the others, fearing panic. When they returned, Omi happily announced that the creature had released their boat, meaning they could finally move again. Everyone felt relieved they could now head home. However, Gerard convinced Freya that returning empty-handed would be a financial loss. Siobhan seemed uneasy. She felt it was strange that the creature had suddenly let them go. Such beings rarely release their prey, but Omid dismissed her concerns and told her not to worry. Later, when they cast their nets again, they managed to catch a large number of fish, which made everyone excited and hopeful once more. By now, Siobhan and Johnny had started liking each other. She had grown comfortable with the crew and began joining them for meals. Everyone was cheerful that day until Johnny suddenly felt overheated and said he wanted to jump into the sea. Sierra and Siobhan stopped him, assuming he was drunk, but in truth, he was ill. Soon his eyes began to ache. When Siobhan examined him with the torch, she noticed something moving inside his eyes, though Gerard saw nothing and ignored it. Moments later, Johnny screamed as his eyes burst open, releasing tiny parasites that slipped into the sink's water. Siobhan and Sierra tried to help, but Johnny died instantly. Everyone was horrified. Siobhan warned no one should go near the water. But Sooty, who was showering, didn't hear her. When she and Omid rushed to stop him, the parasites entered his wounds, infecting him too. They realized the parasites spread through open cuts, just like Johnny's injured hand. Earlier, Sooty's infection was still early, but Johnny's had fully developed, making it far deadlier. Johnny's death shocked everyone, especially Siobhan, who had begun to care for him deeply. She broke down, grieving his loss. The next morning, everyone checked the water filters and discovered the parasites had spread throughout the boat's water system. Siobhan explained that these were marine parasites, unable to survive long in fresh water. Their drinking water was no longer safe, but they hoped the parasites would soon die off naturally. The next day, they held Johnny's funeral. Everyone was heartbroken, especially Siobhan. Meanwhile, she examined the sea creature's slime under a microscope. Her research led to a shocking realization. The mysterious sea creature had likely mistaken their boat for a whale, releasing a slime full of microscopic eggs. These entered human bodies through open wounds, turning into the deadly parasites they now faced. Siobhan warned that everyone could already be infected, since she and Omid ran several experiments, including ultraviolet light exposure, but nothing worked. Finally, they decided to run an electric current through the entire ship, hoping it would kill the parasites. Siobhan explained they had to wait 36 hours before moving, since Johnny's symptoms appeared after. After that time, going ashore too early could spread the infection and cause a disaster. But Freya disagreed, saying Sooty was her responsibility and needed a doctor right away. Meanwhile, Sierra stayed with Sooty, whose vision failed before he finally died, leaving everyone devastated. They held another funeral at sea. Afterward, Siobhan again urged a 36-hour quarantine. But Freya and Gerard became angry and refused. With no other option, Siobhan threw a rope into the water, jamming the propeller and stopping the boat. When the crew found out, they were furious. Sierra even punched her. Siobhan explained she was protecting everyone on land, not just them. If they returned now, they could infect countless others. Reluctantly, they agreed. Freya then said Siobhan had seen something in Johnny's eyes and asked her to check everyone. Siobhan inspected each person but found no infection. When Gerard noticed she hadn't checked him and asked why, Siobhan quietly replied there's no need. Siobhan had already realized that Gerard was infected. When Freya checked him, her suspicion was confirmed, shocking everyone. Afterward, Scara apologized to Siobhan, but suddenly her behavior changed. She attacked Siobhan, trying to strangle her. Siobhan struggled to escape and climbed up the deck with Sierra following her in a violent frenzy, proving she too was infected. To defend herself, Siobhan kicked Sierra, causing her to fall and die instantly. Meanwhile, Freya and Gerard spent their final moments together. Gerard handed her a knife, begging her to end his life, to spare him from a painful death. Though she didn't want to, Freya finally did it, weeping as she did so. Afterward, Freya decided to leave the ship on a raft, planning to reach. Now only Omid and Chauvin remained on the boat. Soon they heard strange noises from the water tanks and realized the parasite larvae were still alive inside the system. Omid suggested destroying the larvae with an electric shock, but Chauvin disagreed, saying she wanted to study them. Her plan was to slow their growth so they wouldn't die before reaching shore, but also couldn't become dangerous. Omid couldn't understand why she wanted to keep the same creature alive that had already killed so many, but he eventually agreed. They carefully applied a bit of heat to weaken it. But as soon as Omid opened the tank lid, several tentacles lashed out trying to attack them. That's when they realized the creature had broken through the hull and was now escaping into the sea. This one had actually grown in the boat's fresh water. With the boat starting to sink, they decided to abandon it. Gathering a few supplies, they boarded a raft and set the boat on fire, hoping to destroy all remaining parasites. But while jumping off, Omid slipped and fell into the water. Shaban jumped into the water to save Omid and managed to pull him back onto the raft, but the creature bit her arm, infecting her too. Realizing there was no cure, she spent her final moments calmly sitting beside Omid, sharing a quiet goodbye. Knowing she couldn't survive, Siobhan slipped back into the ocean, slowly swimming toward the glowing creature beneath the waves. Accepting her fate from the raft, Omid watched helplessly crying as she disappeared underwater. Moments later, he saw a distant ship.